Congratulations! You have a unique way of speaking that is completely normal and do not freak out. However, I guess one day somebody said, why do I have to worry about translating words if I can just make my own language? I bet you heard something like Wi-Fi, tráeme las keys, parquea la troca, quédate la shower, o dalo para atrás. We're so creative. But in fact, there's a really good reason behind Spanglish that I'll talk about later. These phrases are spoken day after day at the mall, at the restaurant, but mostly here at school, around campus, when we do it all the time. Isn't it fun? Nonetheless, Spanglish is becoming more complex, and not only a style, but a language itself. When I came to the US to live with my uncles 2 years ago, my cousin Menyo used to talk Spanish all the time. It bothered me so much. My uncle used to tell me, Nico, study para que ten scholarships. I knew that people have different accents, but never mix into languages together. Besides, I knew people like, I ended up doing it too, and now I'm giving a speech about it. For example, it depends on whether you use Spanglish too, because it's not proper if you use it during a job interview. It will be bothering to the people, and it depends. I tried to grab my cousin a million times, but nothing worked. It's just that Spanglish is the way we speak, and people have to deal with it no matter if they like it or not. Today I will tell you where Spanglish come from, the different controversial issues around it, and how it will be in the future. Before I start my points, I want to introduce you to Ilan Stevens. He was born in Mexico to a Jewish family. He's a professor in Latin America at Harvard College in Massachusetts, and also a lecturer of the first and only Spanish course over in there. He's internationally known cultural critic, Spanish translator, public speaking, written many books about linguistics, and he spent most of his last year compiling to publish the first Spanish dictionary. Most of us know that Spanish comes from a Spanish background and given stuff, but I'll tell you exactly what the reason is behind Spanglish. In an article from the How Stuff Works written by Tracy Wilson, an expert in literature and language from the University of North Carolina, gathered some important information from Stevens, who goes back in time when the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed. This was in 1814, and a generous portion of the Mexican territory was sold to the United States. Of course, with all the people that lived there. What is today Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas found themselves speaking Spanish at home, but forced to speak in English to do business transactions and legal issues. So this is one major moment where these two languages come together and start to kind of struggle to see which one was the most powerful, eventually resulting in a coexistence called Spanglish. Geographically, another reason that Stevens found was the closeness to the Spanish-speaking nations. He says that for a person from Finland, the English eventually disappeared because people were from so far, and they simply stopped using it. In contrast, we're only 15 minutes away from the Mexican bridge, and people still coming in to remind us that Spanglish is still alive. Now I want to share with you some controversial issues that you might be aware of. I taught only Spanish for 17 years, and when I came to the Valley to learn English, I realized that I had to learn Spanish as well. As I told you before, my cousin Menyo, who is 26 years old, used to tell me all the time, Alex, in the kitchen, cuando termines de ver la vista. That is not even a phrase in Spanish. I understood that he was raised learning both languages, and I have no right to change that. But people get discriminated by the way they talk. Unfortunately, we're part of a society who puts us aside and judge people from the RGB of not being educated. That is wrong. I bet people from other places will be more successful if they try to learn Spanish and start communicating with us. An article from my tocayo, Alex Johnson, an editor of the brochure, Spain's monthly magazine in English, affirms that the proud ambition of the Real Academia Española, established in 1713, was to set up a Spanish language in its fullest elegancy, property, and purity. This is the problem we face every day. People think we're trying to speak proper Spanish or proper English when we're trying to make our own language. There's nothing wrong with it because remember, people were forced to learn English, and this was the time when Spanish came to struggle and to see which one should be spoken. Johnson also says that Jose is now the most popular name for baby boys in California and Texas, meaning that Spanglish is here to stay and is growing. In contrast, Roberto González Echeverria, a professor of Hispanic literature at Yale University, says that the mixture of English and Spanish affects whoever speaks it. He defines Spanglish as a very dangerous threat to Hispanic culture, an intolerant style that should embarrass those who speak it. He even describes Spanglish speakers as illiterate and lower class people. When I read this, I wanted to tell them so many backwards and people making these controversial articles actually make Spanglish more popular. And everybody has an individual opinion, and Spanglish is always under the spot. Some people like it, and some people don't, but Spanglish is taking over the nation. Later, González Echeverria shared his thoughts, saying that he thinks people should learn the language right, and learning English should be the highest priority for Hispanics if they plan to occupy an important position. This is just an opinion from an individual who seems to be looking for perfection rather than innovation. Okay, this was intense, but now we're going to take a look on how Spanglish will be in the future. I asked you in my questionnaire, what do you think about Spanglish becoming an official language? The two highest answers were that, it's just a slang, nothing further would happen, or definitely not a thing to happen. However, there are some facts that might change your mind. As I told you earlier, there's already a Spanglish course offering armaments, and even a dictionary. There is no doubt that state events is making Spanglish more than just a style of language. Perhaps there will be more Spanglish courses for interested students in the other universities and take it more seriously as a foreign language. Also, there's even a movie with Adam Sandler called Spanglish. And who does not know George Lopez? He's Hispanic, he talks Spanglish, and he makes people laugh to tears. And he even has his own show. Everything seems to go into one direction. Spanglish could become an official language. Imagine, it will be trilingual. This is great because we will be making history. Regarding any taboos or society rules, we can think of Spanglish as the style in which we were raised and not as an imperfection of language. Afterwards, I'm so grateful that I learned more than I expected to learn because I wanted to learn English and I ended up learning Spanglish too. So, for those who are not familiar with Spanglish, I recommend you to get used to it because you might need it later. The mixture of English and Spanish is something that identifies the Rio Grande Valley and makes it so unique and special. Today we talk about Spanglish, the different controversial opinions around it, and how it will be in the future. Sometimes we think it is not professional to speak it and judge people as if they were not educated. Nevertheless, we cannot stop it or clean it up like if nothing happened. It is a reality. And before I researched for my speech, I had another perspective. But after I knew all these facts, I realized that we need to get informed before criticizing. Definitely, respect is the key of living a peaceful life. Finally, Spanglish can be defined in many ways. I hope the information I gave to you could be useful to develop your own opinion and have something to talk about your grandson, granddaughter, if they ask you, why people talk so weird? I want to leave you with this quote from Stevens that says, Spanglish is a creative way of also saying, I am an American, I have my own style, my own taste, and my own tongue. I wanted to just look like a cholo, but